Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel where we take on all kinds of issues related to narcissism, narcissistic abuse, toxic relationships, toxic situations, all kinds of unpleasant stuff. If you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button and join this growing and wonderful community. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. When you do that, it shows this content to lots of people, and that's really important because the more people who get it, maybe the less the narcissist will get away with it. At least a girl can dream. This video actually takes on something that's a healing related topic. So if you are interested in doing a much deeper dive into healing, go to the video notes and click the link. That will take you if you're interested in exploring our new, much deeper healing program. So I'm going to take on a big question here. Maybe I'll open it with a question for you to drop into the comments. Can a person heal in a narcissistically abusive relationship or from a narcissistically abusive relationship just as well if you stay as if you go? That's the question. Drop that in the comments. Yes or no? Can you heal just as well if you stay as if you left the relationship? Putting those comments in there. Okay, so ready for the answer? No. And then we can be done with the video, right? No. Unfortunately, it is that simple. I wish it wasn't, but it is. I absolutely believe that people who stay in these relationships can still heal, but as far and as much, no. I don't want this to be a depressing video. And who am I kidding? All of my videos are depressing-ish, but I don't want this to be that. But I also want those who stay in these relationships to stop blaming themselves for not getting past it in the same way as those whose narcissistic relationships end. Listen on in this video to hear why that is the case. The great conundrum of narcissistic abuse is the big question of whether people can stay or leave from these relationships. Get the divorce or stick it out until the children are older. Quit the job or stick it out because of the benefits. Cut out from the family or stick it out because your parents are getting older and you want to protect a good and kind family member from more conflict. Leave the friend group, which is your support system, or tolerate that toxic friend so you can feel like you're a part of a group of people that matter to you. These aren't easy questions. So now let's keep in mind there's leaving and then there's leaving. Just like narcissism, leaving is on a continuum. We know that narcissists can range from low grade, superficial, emotionally stunted, really annoying people. And it can go all the way up to malignant, dangerous, narcissistic people. Leaving is also on a continuum. A continuum is from just kind of disconnecting and disengaging, but sort of still seeing the narcissistic person regularly. But maybe you move out of the house, or maybe you move further away, or maybe you don't even do those things, but you just don't really interact with them in any meaningful way. And that goes all the way up to no contact. They can't find you. You don't ever respond again, that kind of thing. So now all levels of leaving are not available to everybody, though. Narcissism and narcissistic abuse are based on something we can call sort of a dose response model. What does that mean? It means that the more you are exposed to the narcissistic person, in essence, the higher the dose of the narcissistic person you get, the more of a toll it takes on you. So if you have to live with a narcissistic person 24/7 and spend time with them and talk with them, that will most likely make you far more sick and unhealthy than if you still have to see someone every month with little contact in between. In both cases, there's contact, but obviously one is far less contact than the other. The more contact you have with a narcissistic person, the more problems you will have. It's pretty linear. Now, the challenge with narcissism and narcissistic relationships is that you waste a lot of time and bandwidth on workarounds, making sure that you don't engage, avoiding difficult conversation topics, managing the negative feelings of being invalidated, the stress of being gaslighted, energy spent avoiding their rage, walking on eggshells, dealing with their victim bully victim shifts, dealing with the hypocrisy of the relationship, being embarrassed by their entitlement. They are often just quite horrible people, but that can also mess with your head because you may feel guilty when you hear their victimized narratives. And being around them, even if you are the wizard of gray rocking, firewalling, deep techniquing, and all the rest of it, is exhausting and depleting and triggering and chips away at your authenticity and can really result in you living half a life. So as long as you are in it, then you will never fully heal. If you break a leg and you keep walking on the broken leg, the bone is never going to set. If you have an illness and don't get the proper treatment for severe illness, the disease may spread or never quite resolve and do a lot of damage. It's the same with this. If you can't get out of it, it will do you in. This ain't the common cold that just works itself out. This will not work itself out if you stay in the relationship. Because here is the bottom line. There is no way to work it out with a narcissist. There is no way if you hang out long enough, talk it out long enough, get couples therapy, family therapy, workplace therapy, friend therapy, that it will work out. The narcissist will not change, and your body and mind will not adjust to their impact on you. You will keep feeling terrible. There is not some moment after 20 years, 30 years, 40 years that it just gets better. It is just always unhealthy. We don't adjust to things that are unhealthy. Our bodies and our minds and our souls just slowly and silently get harmed. And for this reason, lots of people will observe the narcissistic person outliving others in a family or a relationship, or that you as a person in a narcissistic relationship will just get sick more or have health problems that genetics don't explain. All of this are the long-term impacts of being in a toxic relationship. It doesn't get better. There is no working it out. Ultimately, the only fix is that somehow you get significant distance or out of the relationship. Now, as I thought about this video, I did a personal reflection. I have been impacted by narcissistic abuse in family relationships, intimate relationships, friendships, and workplace relationships. A few of these relationships persist in my life, and getting out of them has proven to be quite difficult. The narcissistic relationships that I still have to face down continue to take a massive toll on my mental and physical health. I have left most of these relationships. There was no fixing them. Very rarely do I have to encounter any of the past narcissistic people from my life. And I always feel a little bit sick afterwards, or exhausted or sad, even if it's just a few minutes or hours when I do need to see the narcissistic people in my lives. But the only fix was to get out of the relationships. In some cases, it took me years to get out of these relationships. Even when I knew the best thing in the world was to get rid of the relationship, things got in the way, trauma bonds and all of that, right? But after I did, never in any of them did I ever look back. I have never regretted ending a single narcissistic relationship in my life. I do regret the ones I still have to interact with. And there are healthy relationships I've walked away that I do regret. I know the difference. Because when I do still interact with these narcissistic folks, I get sick. I'm in a unique period of my life right now where I'm having to interact with some particularly difficult narcissistic people. And to say that my mental and physical health have tanked is completely underplaying it. Nightly nightmares, constant stomach aches and migraines, and a sadness and a grief that I'm not able to break out of. Every day, the narcissistic abuse continues. I know it won't get better until I'm able to step out of these relationships. And there's no way I can think about it differently to make it better. nothing that I can say that can make it better, nothing that I can do. And when you are in the same space day after day with a narcissistic person, there's only so many ways that you can dodge and weave and avoid the gaslighting. Their presence is simply toxic. Using my example, my circumstance is such that I need to get through some big hurdles and walk away from a lot of cultural expectations and then leave it. I know what my blockades are. I also know the toll it's taking on me. That's real. I really can't heal that much as long as I'm stuck in it. I wish there was a way that people who stay could get to the same level of healing as those who leave. I just don't see it. It's like saying people who smoke can find a way to stay as healthy as non-smokers, or heavy drinkers can stay as healthy as non-drinkers, or people who eat tons of processed fats and sugars can stay as healthy as those who eat fruits and vegetables. Unless of very rare exceptions, I just don't see how that's going to happen. I think it is very important that people know this, because if they don't, especially for those who stay, they can once again fall into the patterns of self-blame and wonder, oh, great, I can't even heal right. If you're staying and you're making progress, you're doing just fine. You need to know that there are limits on how much healing can take place in the presence of narcissists and enablers. You can go so far, you get knocked down, you get up, and you keep walking again. It can be done, but it's a much slower climb. My commitment will always be to help those who can't get out of these relationships, because trust you me, I empathize with that. The short-term workarounds, making sure you cultivate and maintain support, the sanity builders in your life, the validation, the tools that help you turn off the gaslight. But I can tell you, as a person who's in it, I can tell you ultimately, the only way to get fully healthy is to find some way to exit. Now, this is not meant to be depression. You're saying, oh, great, lady, I can't get out. So what, I'm going to be stuck? No, no, no. It's not what I said. The question is, can they heal as much? Again, probably not, because if you're in it and somebody's still continually gaslighting and invalidating you, and you're having to constantly mount up bandwidth and think about, wait, this isn't me, and you have to do so much individual work, but you're constantly being knocked down. The best example I could give you is, you're really committed to sobriety, but you live like in a bar, there's constantly people around you drinking, socializing with alcohol. It is going to be very unlikely for someone like that, especially in the early stages of sobriety, to stay sober. Some will. I mean, there's some people that have that strong a commitment, but for the average bear, it's going to be hard. It's similar here. Like I said, it doesn't mean that healing's not possible when people stay. It absolutely is. And I talk about it all the time. But to understand that the limits are quite different than for those who go, I don't want the two folks to think that they're in exactly the same, if you will, race, even though it's not a competition, but they're not going on the same destination. It's not the same track. And that's really what this is about, that there is something about get distance. And for those of you, again, if you've watched it this long, you want to drop it in the comments. If you many of you have had both experiences. There's some narcissistic relationships you walked away from, and some you can't walk away from. And are you able to see the difference in the positive impact it had when you could walk away, but the ones you couldn't walk away are still taking a toll? That's what I mean. Okay. Thanks again.